Hi, everyone. My name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at Soundly.com. And if you've ever wondered how sound goes from the outside world and then ultimately reaches the brain, this video is for you. Our brains are really amazing. Somehow they know the difference between a door slamming, the voice of someone we love, and my fingers snapping. And today, we're going to talk through how all of this works with Dr. Amy Sarow. And instead of just talking about how hearing works, we actually want to show you. So we've worked with a medical animator to put this full process together in 3D. Dr. Amy, can you talk to us about what actually happens when sound goes from the outside world and into the brain?
Absolutely. Well, Blake, as you mentioned, it does start in the ear, but ultimately it travels up to the brain. Let's take a look in this video here. So you'll see that we have these air molecules that are traveling down the ear. And if we pause here for just a moment, you can see they're represented here. Ultimately, that's invisible, but it does become mechanical energy then, those air molecules that actually physically move the eardrum, which result in movement. If we started again here at the bones, those bones behind the eardrum, the ossicles, and then as those are moving, they're pushing on the fluid in the inner ear, which becomes hydraulic energy. If we pause here, you'll see those hair cells. We've got several rows of them. We've got the outer hair cells, and then we have a row there of the inner hair cells. And if we start again there, you'll see that those sterocilia are moving on the outer hair cells, which generates a chemical reaction in those cells. And then they send an electrical signal up to the brain. Now, that signal will travel, as you'll see there, down the hearing nerve up to the brain, where it's going to be processed. And ultimately, from there, we're able to interpret, was that the doorbell ringing? Is that a person talking? Is that a dog barking? And we're able to do that, so quickly in real time within seconds. It's really an amazing process if you think about it.
All right, let's rewind for just a second. For anyone who has hearing loss, what is actually happening inside the ear? And I know there are a number of different types of hearing loss, but maybe we can talk specifically about sensory neural hearing loss. What does that look like inside the ear?
So, if we talk about sensory neural hearing loss, and again, there are different reasons why someone might have this type of hearing loss, but let's focus on one of the most common reasons where we have structures in the inner ear that aren't working or functioning as efficiently as they used to, or when we compare it to someone with normal hearing, let's say. So when we talk about this, we have the outer hair cells. They have those little hair-like structures, the sterocilia, which we saw in the video there. And if pieces of those are broken off, they're not going to send the signal in the same way as if they were still working properly or in pristine condition. So in the inner ear, we have different parts there. We've got the outer hair cells, which we see those three rows of those outer hair cells. And when you have damage there, it can cause mild hearing loss. It can cause perhaps a bit more hearing loss. However, the inner hair cells are the rows. When we look into that video there, you'll see those off to the left side. There's just that single row of those. Those are your inner hair cells, and they play an important part in hearing. If you lose function there, you're going to have much more hearing loss, probably more like a severe hearing loss.
So can you explain to us what's happening when we hear a louder sound that is audible, but a quiet sound is not audible? And I know this from experience because I have hearing loss and I wear hearing aids that allow me to hear the world, but if I don't have my hearing aids in, I can't hear as many things. What's actually happening inside of my ears to make that process possible?
So when we're wearing hearing aids and, compensating for a hearing loss, what we're doing is sending in the volume that's appropriate and that is, fit to your prescription. So each frequency, a different volume will be sent in for that. But ultimately, what we want to do is overcome that barrier. So let's say we're talking about the sterocilia. They're not as receptive or effective as sending that sound up in a softer volume. But when we send in a bit more volume, it's enough to stimulate them so that they can complete that process. So even if there is damage in the inner ear, that's one way you can still use your acoustic hearing to overcome hearing loss.
Dr. Amy, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to GN Hearing and the artist Design Cells for the collaboration in creating the graphics for this video. To you, the viewer, we wish you the best.